Says we're live. How's it going today, everybody? Right off the bat, I got to say thank you to a couple of friends of mine that gave me a bit of an idea with this week's topic and spent about an hour or two on the phone with me going over a bunch of notes and coming up with some good stuff. So hopefully we've got a good one here for you tonight. So tonight's subject is how should men communicate, or how could we communicate better? Bit of a talk with a friend of mine. He's having a bit of an issue with some of his team members at work and just some other people and stuff in his life. And I kind of have too. So we talked about it and brought in another fella and talked a little bit more. So anyhow, my audio shows that it's on this week. So hopefully that problem is taken care of. So let's start off with this. So how should men communicate? Well, first of all, we should communicate with logic and to add value, not waste people's time. So nowadays, where the hell is it? These damn things is most people talk or text like they talk. And it's kind of an inefficient way to communicate. The whole point of text is fast and precise and can kind of get some stuff done. So, like my friend was telling me, he says, your typical text exchange is like, hey, Bentley, hey, buddy, how's it going? And some small talk back and forth. Or I'll be in the middle of something and it's a hey, Bentley, I'm busy. Get mad and kind of throw it away and then ignore it. When you're talking to your friends, if it's not like just friends, like a friendly conversation or something like that, but you're actually looking for something, especially if it's during, like if it's not like late in the evening or something when you're hanging out and BSing, but it's business hours or they're doing something, skip the small talk, just get to the point is the biggest thing. Right. So, I know you didn't call to talk about my family, my children, my dog, my motorcycle, at these times of the day. So stop beating around the bush, get to the point, give me hey, I know you're busy, XYZ, something like that. Good communication is efficient. It's what is the current problem? What am I stuck with? What's the issue I'm having difficulty dealing with? Something along those lines. Hey, here's what I need help with is, I'm having a problem with, I write software. So I'm having a problem with my coding. I can't get, this function to work. It appears it's done correctly. Can I schedule 15 minutes to discuss this with you? Go over it and try and figure it out. Then if somebody's in the middle of something, they look at it. Oh, they know exactly what it is. They know exactly what you're looking for. It's like, yep, okay, I can give you 15 minutes at this time. And you get it set up. Or, hey, I'm free right now. I can give you 15 minutes right now. And it's efficient. You can actually get something done. We're men. We've got crap going on in our lives. So when we communicate like this, where it's like hey, can I schedule 15 minutes? Or here's what's going on. This is my problem. I know how to prioritize it. It's like, oh, well, I can set this aside for 10 minutes and we can deal with this right now. Or, well, I'm in the middle of something, but yeah, okay, that's important. So let's take care of it at this time. Something along those lines. You're not wasting my time. You're not wasting your time. Hell, if you want to do it, which I even do this with a couple of people that I know, we literally schedule bullshit sessions. Hey, we're going to sit around and shoot the crap at this time of the day. Shoot the breeze. Cool. We know what it is. If you got something going on, you don't show up. If you don't have anything going on and you want to come contribute or hear the BS, you do. And that way people's time is taken into account. So when it comes to business, people dance around more on business calls before they get to the point. And, basically generally boils down to stop. You're calling for a purpose. Be polite, but cut to the chase. Like, hey, Bentley, in your trucking business, you were doing XYZ. I'm calling to find out if there's anything that my business can do to help you out. I've got something to sell you on. How's business going? Well, now I know why you're calling. You're calling trying to see if there's something that you can do with me and how's things going. If things are going good, they're great. I don't need your help. Things are great. Thanks. Bye. Simple, quick conversation. But when you start out with the, hey, I'm calling about your trucking business, seeing if there's something I can deal with along these lines, XYZ, now I know, all right, cool. There's something there that Actually, I've got something going on. Now you've hit to the point. How are things going? They're not going great. I've got this problem and I've got this problem. They're kind of along the lines of what you're selling or what you take care of. What can we do to work this out? Is there something you can do to help me? It's a lot more efficient communication. You don't waste that time of, when a salesman calls me and asks how my family is doing, I know he's full of shit. I'm a bachelor. How's my family doing? She's right there. She's laying on the couch having a nap. Don't waste my time. So, anyhow, so, yeah, well, what about the need to build rapport? You're right. Now, if it's a cold call, you've got to build a little bit of rapport, but there's a difference between building rapport and wasting someone's time, right? So there's a bit of that back and forth. I'm not in total disagreement on that, which is why it's like, hey, I'm calling about your business, this, that, and the other. How are things going? Well, you've done some building rapport with how are things going, or is there something we can do to help this? Something we can do to make this better for you? That's building rapport, but also getting to the point and not wasting somebody's time, right? Like I say, if a salesman calls me, he's asking about my family, he's wasting my time. And I realize some people have boring lives and not a whole lot going on, and you can waste a bunch of their time. But most of the guys that I'm trying to talk to, they're guys who are trying to do something in their lives, trying to achieve goals, or trying to get somewhere. So they're usually busy. They're focused on their task. They're focused on their craft, building their business, improving their skill, whatever they are in life. So, but even with that, you take the CEO of a company, he's generally busy. He's got a bunch of stuff going on, so one question for a rapport, fine. More than that, it's probably too much in all reality, in my thought anyhow. You get on to 5 minutes of just BSing with me, yanking my chain. I'm probably less likely to want to do something with you because it's not efficient. If you're wasting my time, you're probably going to waste my employees' time and my business's time when I hire you to do things, if you think about it like that. So the rapport thing is simple. Keep it simple. Read your room too. Some people, like I said, some people have more time to kill the time with them. But if you're dealing with somebody who doesn't have time to kill, don't waste their time. Be efficient with it. Be efficient with your time. Be efficient with your proposal. Respect their time. The more you do that, the more inclined they're probably going to be to do business with you. And with friends, you can be a little more personal, but still should be direct. Your friends know you better than that too. If I get a friend calls, hey, 10 o'clock in the morning, hey, call just to see how you're doing. Okay, what's going on? Because it's business hours. Things are going on, right? Call me on the weekend, ask how things are going. Yeah, you're calling to shoot the shit, and that's totally fine. I'm totally good with that. But it's reading the room. It's appropriate time, stuff like that. So with your interpersonal, you'll have your group. So I misread my notes there. Sorry about that. With interpersonal stuff, whether it's business or personal relationships, regardless. And this is going to come up more later on as well, is if you have people who are in your group who are doing something you don't like, you need to address it, and you need to address it before it becomes an issue. And like I say, this will be brought up. You'll see where this ties in later on as we go in. Because this can really lead to some stuff. So anyhow, we'll continue on with that. But back to some business stuff. Like if somebody is on my team or under my management, makes a mistake, own it. Own it. You're the manager. You're the leader of the team. Own it. You don't need to throw your people under the bus. This gives you instant respect and credibility. So, it comes back to the thing I keep coming back to all the time is accountability, right? You don't throw your people under the bus. Ask yourself this question. What did I do to put my team in a position to fail? We're probably going back to that one of if there's an issue and you haven't addressed it, you probably let it get to that point. Even if not, and there's an honest oversight, well, somewhere along the way, either through your management, the people you have in place, whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, you're the leader. When you're the leader, it's your responsibility ultimately. Doesn't matter who it comes down to further down the line. As the leader, it's yours. So own it. And when you do that and you show that, that is true leadership. You tell your team that. Tell your team that as a leader, it falls on your shoulders. You show them what you did. Like, hey, customer is mad. We did this wrong. I listened to their complaint, took it. This is what we did wrong. Doesn't matter who did it. Doesn't matter what it is. This is the problem. I've taken it. So now what are we going to do to fix it? When you do that and you show your team and your people that, they're going to follow you. They're going to do anything they can for you. Like, think about that. If your boss or manager stood up and took the bullet and came and informed the team and said, hey, this is what happened. I got crapped on. We did this wrong. We've made a mistake. What are we going to do to resolve this? Are you still seriously telling me you're not going to follow that person as a leader? I call bullshit on that. So you just, and then do that. Ask your team, how are we going to solve this? You don't necessarily have to have all the answers. That's kind of the point of being in management, leadership, becoming a better person, is understanding the fact that you don't know everything. It's not possible to. So you surround yourself with people who know stuff and you listen to their advice. That's why you've hired them. That's why you work with them. That's why you've promoted them, or whatever the case may be. And be one of those people. If you're on the lower ranks and you're trying to get to those ranks, if you have a leader that does something like this and asks, what are we going to do to resolve this? If you have an idea, come forward with it. Get it out there. This is going to, it's going to raise you in that echelon of, hey, this guy actually takes account of part of the problem. It comes up with solutions, tries to do stuff. So with your communication, be clear and concise. So when you're giving people instructions, when I ask somebody on my team, hey, here's what we need done. And they say, yeah. Okay, cool. What is it we need done? Ask them. Well, you said I need to go pick this up, move it over there. No, that wasn't correct. So, we have to, now you didn't communicate it properly. So now you have a chance to fix it before anybody's gone and wasted their time. Going the wrong way, doing something the wrong direction. You saved all of that hassle by asking them that question. You find out if your communication was clear. And when they do get it correct, perfect. That's right. Let's go get it done. And now they know what to do. So, and when you've communicated like this, now you need to communicate a way that the results you guys have just agreed on is the only result that's acceptable. They know what the task is. They know what the result you're looking for is. Getting the result is the only thing that's acceptable. Well, they know what they've got to accomplish. They can go and do it. And if they run into trouble, then they know they can ask. They can ask for help. And when they do, make sure you offer it. Either offer it or find somebody who can give it to them. These are kind of the key things on that. So, so with sales and management stuff, here's a big thing when you're dealing with sales or managing people, whatever the case may be, whether you're in management or you're trying to sell something to a customer, whatever the case may be. When you're in management, you're actually in sales. You're selling your team to higher up management or CEOs or something along those lines, because you're the intermediary that, takes the big directions and distributes them. So if you've only got 90% of what the customer or higher up levels or something like that are asking for, say that. It's okay. You're better to under promise and over deliver, not the other way around. Don't say, oh yeah, we got 90% of that, but yeah, we're going to take it on. We're going to do it. We're going to get it done. Well, now when you don't, you failed. You weren't honest. You weren't upfront. Guess what? You wear it. That doesn't fall on your team. That falls on you. That's poor management. It's poor ownership. It's poor sales. So in a case like that, if you only got 90% of whatever it is your customer's looking for, management, say it. Say, look, your specifications are, this big. We've only got this. So, we can do this. And if you want, we can subcontract out the other part and we'll manage it for you. Now you're a problem solver. you've solved the whole problem. You've admitted you can't do the whole thing. And the part that you can't do, you're going to find somebody to take care of it, and you're going to manage it, and you're going to get it done. You'll probably win a lot of contracts and a lot of jobs like that. I know I did. I got a lot of jobs like that. I don't have, I was a fleet, for the most part, a fleet of one. Even when I ran multiples, I didn't have enough to do everything all the time. I subbed out a lot. And I was honest about that. Okay, yes, I can move this machine. I don't have all the equipment, but I have a list of subcontractors that can do, the other parts. We've got the main part. We know how to delegate it. We can get this done. Cool. It's all yours. You take care of it. And when you do that, you get to mark it up too. So, you charge, say, $5,000 for some subcontracting job, is what you get billed for it. You sell that back at $7,500. You make a profit on it. You make your 20% on it, or 25%, whatever your case may be, 50%, whatever your markup is. You put that in there. And that way you are now delivering the whole thing. And with this whole communication thing, you're going to own this sub part that you're putting out. So now you need to be very clear in the instructions you outsource that to, more so to them than to your team. So when you are that clear, these are the instructions. This is what has to get done. Same thing. You know what has to be done. Explain it to me. Let them give it to you. And if it's not right, correct it. Correct it now. It's easier to correct it now than to redo it. So this is how you win people over. This is how you win contracts. Obviously, this is leadership. Really good leadership stuff. So as you want to be respected and recognized as a leader, own it. Take care of it. And with that you can, take care of what you can and be honest about the stuff you can't. And subcontract it out. Find people. Build your network in your industry, in your business, whatever it is. People that can fill the gaps that you have, the voids that you have. And as you start to fill those, you'll eventually get to a point you realize this gap is actually coming up fairly often. I need to expand here. Now you can, if you're the owner of the business, you can expand in that direction, or you can find out if that's something you actually want to expand into. You might look at it and realize, boy, there's a lot in there, but the margins on it are so small that it's actually not worth doing. I'm better off to just keep subcontracting that out. I got people lined up to do it. Let's just let them keep doing it. I'll make my couple % on it. All is well. Carry on. So that's how you get there. So like I say, that's how you get respected and recognized as a leader. And when you decide you stepped up, you want to be that person, you want to be the leader, the buck stops here. Own it. This is how you build respect. You take responsibility when others won't. If you got to sub it out, you sub it out. If you've got to ask your team to step up, ask them to step up. You step up too. Don't make them do it without you. So, here's another one. Hi. Now she wants some attention because she sees me talking. We haven't been outside today. It's 25 below here. So kind of ridiculous. So she's, now that I'm talking, she figures she wants some attention. So anyhow, as men, take the higher road is a big thing. I know the scorched earth feels good, but it doesn't get results. It really doesn't. So when you're in the heat of battle, and things are going bad, or you're dealing with an issue or something like that, so you need to learn to listen to the other side. This is part of emotional mastery. And say you don't have emotions. Say you don't let them control your reactions. Because if you don't listen to the other side, you probably can't understand how to properly resolve the issue. Well, going back to that other thing I said earlier about, when you give your team some instructions, you give somebody some instructions, ask them what you said. Have them repeat it back to you. Well, it's the same thing. If you're not listening to the other side, you're on the other side of that. You can't repeat it back. So if you can't repeat it back, how can you solve it? So you've got to take the higher road. You've got to listen to the other side. So when you listen to the other side, they're also more likely to listen to you as well. It helps open the whole dialogue both ways. You get your communication back and forth. Now you can actually understand what each other is saying, and if you're not 100% sure, ask. If you don't think that they're 100% sure, ask. Ask them to repeat it back to you. Hey, this is what I said. did you actually understand that? Like you said yes, but I'm kind of wondering. Like you said it kind of quickly. Just making sure. Just explain to me what it was I said. So, did that go? Oh yeah, it did. So anyhow, I'm going to drop a link in the chat if anybody wants to join in on this. So if you got something to add or something you think you can do better, let's discuss it. It's conversation. This is the whole listen to the other side. I'll listen to yours too. So if you want to start a dialogue and have a discussion on that, go right ahead. But when you open the dialogue and you listen to the other side, maybe you'll get some good ideas that you weren't even aware of. Somebody may know something you don't know. In fact, that's something take into every single conversation you have, whether it's good, bad, confrontational or not. The person you're going to speak to, I guarantee you, knows something you don't know. It may not be important, but every single person on this planet knows something that you don't know. And you know something that they don't know. And if you don't communicate, there's no way to share this. You don't get anywhere. And here's another, I'll let you in on a little secret. When you listen to the other side, especially when you listen to the other side really closely, when you listen to them, they usually keep going. And a lot of times they'll accidentally give up their weakness. So on top of being able to tell you what the problem truly is and you actually being able to hear it so you learn how to resolve it, a lot of times they'll give up their weakness. Maybe you don't have as much competition as you think you do. So maybe you don't need to drop your price as much. Maybe you can sign that contract for 3 years instead of a year. You never know. But if you don't listen, and you don't let them talk, and you don't let them give up their vulnerabilities, you won't find out. But if you do, you might. So think about that. There's an advantage into listening. So, and the other side of that is putting people down never works. So you're back to the above, you've taken the bullet. There's no need to dump on people. They already feel grateful that you've taken the bullet, and they feel inferior because you've taken the high road. You've taken the responsibility, and you've come to them and you've asked them, okay, so what are we going to do to resolve this? They're already in that position where they don't need any more. So there's no need to continue dumping on them. So stick to the high road. Go on and have a conversation. How do we fix this? How do we resolve it? What are we going to do to get this taken care of? Hope she's not crunching too much in your ears back there. So, but at the end of the day, if you do have to put somebody in their place, which does happen, that's just a fact of life. If you've got to put somebody in their place, do it without belittling them. Take them somewhere private, have a conversation, somewhere where you're not humiliating them on top of the fact that you've got to have a conversation that puts them in a place they don't necessarily like. There's no need to do it publicly. Now, if you got somebody who repeatedly comes back at you and is just dumb, well, then it's okay to scorch the earth. But that should never be your first result, where you first go. There's always usually another way to come around and resolve that. So this is how you handle things professionally. Stop. Sorry about that. So through all of this, when you're having to put somebody in their place and doing all this, at the same time, try to lift them up. Try and give them a compliment at the same time. Figure out what it is that they did do right. Bring them along on that. They're more inclined to want to improve when you aren't just dumping on them, but you're actually giving them some feedback and showing them the parts where they do well. Remember, we all make mistakes. Guarantee it. If you got out of bed this morning, you made a mistake today. I know you did, because I did. So we all make mistakes. So there's no need to dump on anybody, right? Do you dump on yourself when you do it? Well, maybe you do. I do, but limit it. So this kind of leads into another one, which is how do we handle conflicts? Some upcoming topics I'm probably going to do lead into this. There's crisis negotiation and management. And this was one that I'm kind of working on, is how to initiate, hold, and handle difficult conversations. This is actually something that I'm not very good at. So if you are, or someone you know is really good at it, please contact me, drop a comment. I'd like to have them as a guest. I'd like to talk to them because this is something that personally I am actually working on. And to have the opportunity to talk to somebody that is very good at this would be, I think, would be a great discussion back and forth. I'd love to pick somebody's brain on that because I generally go in a little hard. It's just who I am. I need to get better at that. So there's one of your other things of communicating is learning what your weaknesses are. It's okay to have them, know what they are, and work on them, get better. So anyhow, carrying on, how we handle people is important, right? Think about this. If you aren't taking a moment to listen to the other person's side, or you're doing the scorched earth and you irritate that person, maybe they quit their job if you're just working with them. Maybe they work for you, they quit their job. And I've actually seen this happen, and it was really quite funny. I know somebody that loved to pounce on people every chance he got. And he did it repeatedly and irritated a couple of people. And a bunch of people left that company that we were actually both working at. I was contracted to them at the time. And I told them, like, this is going to come back to bite you in the ass one day. He didn't care because he was the big shot. He was going to keep going. Well, one of the little people that he loved to dump on finally had enough, and she left, went back to school, got herself a little bit of a better education, actually got a job at one of the customers of the company I was contracted to dealt with, quickly got promoted up the ranks because she knew the inside of the side that serviced them. So therefore, she was a valuable asset. Well, it wasn't very long, and now she's the one who's in charge of who gets the jobs. How do you think we did on that? Not very well. It wasn't very long, and he was let go because it started happening repeatedly because he just kept continuously dumping on people. And eventually they moved around to other positions and other jobs, or new people in other positions and other jobs. And they just kept saying, this guy's a jerk. Nobody wants to deal with him. Like, there's no such thing as making a mistake. You can't fix it. You can't do anything right. It's always his way. And because of that, nobody wanted to deal with him. And when you're in sales and you're in commission, like he was, all of a sudden it became very difficult because he couldn't sell anything. He went down from having a whole bunch of customers to just a couple and couldn't survive on it. Ended up having to leave. So handling people is an important skill. And a large part of handling people is communication. Being able to be clear, be concise. So, if you don't handle people properly, do you really think they'll forget? That's kind of the moral of that story. So smart communication is what that kind of leads into. When you're handling people, you handle people with smart communication. Here's a big one, is how to handle getting crap and make it a positive. Because at some point, you're going to make a mistake. We all do. And at some point, when you make that mistake, somebody's going to crap on you. That's okay. How do you make that a positive? Well, it's simple. If it was your responsibility, accept it. If you have a plan to correct it, it was your responsibility. You accepted it. They're giving you crap because you did something wrong or your team did something wrong, whatever the case may be. Accept it. Own it. It's all right. We all make mistakes. So when you accept responsibility for it, at that point, if you have a plan for how to correct it, present it. Say, you're correct. I'm responsible for that. And here's my plan to fix it. If you don't have a plan, right off the top of your head doesn't come to you, say, you're right. This is my responsibility. This is my team's responsibility. This is my company's responsibility. Whatever the case may be, you're correct. I don't have a plan to fix this right now, but give me till the end of the day, whatever the case may be, depending on the level of the screw up, whatever it is. Give me X amount of time to come up with a contingency plan to take care of this. You now have all the power of the conversation. You've taken that getting crap, you've owned it, set it off to the side, presented a solution. So here's a big bundle of crap. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Here's a solution. Who's in charge now? You are. Because when they came to you and gave you a big pile of crap, what they actually did is they came and gave you a great big problem. So solve it. Now it's positive. You've now solved the problem. When somebody comes to you with a big pile of crap, that's literally what it is. They have a problem, so be the solution. When you're the solution to the problem, it's positive. So, and if it wasn't your responsibility, it's easy. Try this. That actually wasn't me. It actually wasn't my team. It actually wasn't my company. It wasn't me. It wasn't my team. It wasn't my company. Whatever the case may be. It wasn't us. But that's okay. I'll take care of the situation for you. Give me a minute. We'll come up with a plan. We'll solve this for you. Even though it wasn't my responsibility, we'll take care of it for you. That's what we do. You want to talk about competency? You have all the power of that conversation. It wasn't your responsibility. You didn't crap back on them. You were polite with that. It wasn't actually me. It wasn't actually my team. It wasn't my responsibility. But I'm still going to take care of it for you anyway. Now the other person is backpedaling. They already don't know where they're standing, what they're doing. So you've now got control of the entire situation. You get a chance to now solve somebody else's problem. Especially if you're in business, congratulations. You now have an opportunity to take business away from your competitors. Because if this was a problem that one of your competitors did, but somebody didn't know or screwed up and thought it was you, you now get to solve your competitor's problem. Guess what? You're now the new provider. That's power in a conversation. That's how you handle people. That's how you handle getting crapped on and make it a positive. So with all that comes part of it is negotiation. No matter what it is, something's wrong, needs to be fixed. Both sides need to agree. So, and in order to get both sides to agree, everybody has to have a part they win in. Because if you need to win 100% of it, is there any point for somebody to agree with you? If you have to be 100% right all of the time, what's the point of agreeing with you? There's no win for them. So, if you've got to win 100% and there's no reason for them to continue on because they're not going to win a damn thing in the entire disagreement, negotiation, whatever it is, there's no reason for them to go ahead with any kind of a deal, any kind of a agreement, job, contract, argument in life, whatever the case may be, dispute between you and a friend. If there's no win at all for them on the other side, there's no point to agree. So that means nothing gets done. If nothing gets done, what have you won? Nothing. Because nothing got done. You didn't win shit. So remember that. You can't take 100%. You've got to give some to the other side. There has to be. So a quote from the book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss is, life is a series of negotiations. So remember that. You can give a little here because another negotiation is going to come along and you can take a little from that one. The whole thing is give and take. You can't win 100% of everything. If you do, nobody's going to do anything with you. Not going to get anywhere. So conflict can be a win-win. In fact, the best resolutions to conflict usually are. So we're back to that whole thing of taking the high road. Take the parts that are important to you, focus on those. The parts that aren't so important to you, let the other person have those. This is how you negotiate and how you handle with and deal with people. So, like I say, I've dropped the link in the chat if anybody wants to call in and discuss any of this with me. That'd be great. I'd appreciate it. So, and with all this, with communication, how men should communicate with each other, especially, that's largely what this is. Ladies, if you're watching, you want to learn how to talk to a man, this is how you talk to him. We don't really deal on an emotional level. We deal more on a logical level. So this will help you understand how to have a negotiation or conversation with a man. How does emotion play into conversation? You can use emotion to get your point across. But when you're doing that, don't direct it at an individual person or a team. Spelled that all wrong and I don't understand exactly what I wrote. So anyhow, when you're using emotion, don't direct it at an individual or a team. So the whatever it is, your anger, that's what it is. Okay. Your anger is at the issue. It's not at the person, it's not at the team. There's no point being angry at the person. They're just human. They made a mistake. The anger, your true anger isn't actually at the person. It's at the issue. The issue didn't get resolved. That's what you're actually angry about. So this is how you can kind of control and use your emotion. It is take that, be angry with the issue, but not at the person, not at the team. So when you do this, you'll get the most results, because now there's no need for the other person to be on the defensive. They understand you're upset about the issue because it didn't get resolved. So why wouldn't you be upset about it? It's part of life, right? It's understandable. You're not directly angry at them, or you're not angry at the team. Well, okay, it's the issue. Let's focus on the issue. Let's fix this. If you focus your anger and your attention and your energy on a team or an individual, well, their natural reaction is to defend themselves. Well, who's looking at the issue? Nobody. You're now pointing a finger at somebody, a person or a team or something like that, and they're in defensive mode. Where's the issue? It's nowhere in this discussion. So what's getting resolved? Jack shit. Quit wasting your time. Deal with the issue. Focus your attention and your anger on that. So when you do this, that's how you get the most results. And when you focus that anger and frustration or whatever on the actual issue and not on the people in the team, you can actually use that to motivate them, because they can get behind you and they can become angry with you at the issue. Well, when everybody has their attention and their anger or whatever focused on the issue, not on a person, well, now you're focused on the issue. You're probably going to solve the problem, right? There's no defensive. There's no, he said, she said, finger pointing. It's the issue. Let's deal with it. And now you got the whole team is on it. That's how you focus a team on it. That's how you get problems solved, right? You don't send people running for the hills. So, and with the emotion thing, there's 3 forms to that. You've got your spur of the moment. When something, in your communication or your issue or whatever you're trying to sort out, the immediate bang, it hits you. Give yourself a moment to regroup. Let it pass. Because that initial is going to hit you. It doesn't matter who you are. We're human. We have these things. Let it hit you. Let it pass and move forward. Don't react to it. Just let it go. So sometimes harder said than done. Give yourself some time. Are you a 2-second guy or are you a 5-second guy? I used to be probably an 8-second guy when I was younger. I was wound a little bit tight, so I'd snap in a second. Took me a lot longer to calm down. Nowadays, I'm a 2 count. You say something that really pisses me off, really gets under my skin. I need a 1, 2. All right, I've let it go. You're dumb. I'm moving forward. Whatever is what it is. So figure out where your threshold is. Everybody's got one. You'll figure it out. If you pay attention to it and watch it, you can actually figure it out. And when you do, it's real cool, because now you can play with it, right? So if you realize that you're a 5-second guy and somebody says something deliberately pisses you off, and they're trying to push your button and trying to piss you off, in your head, do that little count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can deal with it. They haven't got under your skin. You can deal with the issue and the problem. So the other one is uncontrolled. And uncontrolled emotion is a detriment to our communication. This goes back to the first one of learning what you are. You a 3-second guy or are you an 8-second guy? Whatever the case may be. Learning what threshold you need to use to keep that under control is going to allow you to have better communication. Because when you can't control it, it derails your thought. I'm pissed off. I want to, punch him in the face or whatever the case may be. I'm angry. Careful I don't say something, get kicked off of YouTube for it. But if you can't control it and you don't know what your threshold is to be able to put it past you, it's going to derail your thought. You're not going to deal with it properly. So be a master of those emotions, not a slave to them. That comes back to the whole thing of figuring out what you are. Figure out how long. If you actually sit there and look at it, you'll realize it'll become consistent. You'll realize how long it takes you to do it. It took me, I figured this out probably about 5 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. Right around the time I did the whole divorce thing, because she was really good at pushing those buttons. And when I learned how to take those moments and slow the time down, it went past me, and then I could just laugh at the situation and deal with it logically. I was no longer a slave to my emotions. I was a master of them. When you can control them like that, now you can have conversations. You can have spirited conversations. Doesn't matter, because when you learn to be able to let that pass, once you learn how to do that, you learn how to do it faster and more efficient, and you get better at it. And then all of a sudden you can really get into dealing with things quickly. So the third type of them is long delayed frustration. These are usually self-inflicted. You either didn't take a moment to actually let it pass, and so now you've reacted with your emotions and lashed out in anger, communication, whatever the case may be. And the long delayed part is going to be, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass again and again and again. So, and the other part of the self-inflicted is, we're back to that earlier point. If you have people in your team, in your group, your friendship circle, your family, whatever the case may be, that is doing something you don't like, you need to address it before it becomes this issue. Remember what I said earlier? This is going to come back and bite us in the ass. Well, it has. Because if you haven't dealt with this early on, now later on, it's going to come back around and it's going to be a bigger issue. So this ties back into the whole thing of where like I said, I need to learn how to have difficult conversations better so that I can handle this sort of stuff better. I'm pretty good at identifying things quickly that are a nuisance that need to be taken care of. But when I don't, and they do come back around to become a big issue, and they're really difficult conversations, that's the part I need to get better at. So luckily, I'm pretty good at taking care of them in the beginning. So they usually don't get to that point. It's when they get to that point, I don't do very well, because I've usually said something small and I wasn't clear and concise. We're back into that earlier. Be clear on your communication. When you say something, if you don't think you've said it right, because a lot of times that's what it is it's not that they didn't understand you correctly. You probably didn't say it right. So ask them to repeat it back to you. And if it's not right, don't get frustrated with them. You probably didn't communicate it correctly. So rephrase it, rearrange it. That's going to help with these sorts of things. So when you don't take care of these things, these little issues, like I said, like people in your family group, whatever, doing things you don't like, and you don't address it before it becomes an issue, guess who you have to blame for it when it comes back around to be an issue? Same guy as me. It's that son of a bitch in the mirror that I shave and brush my teeth with in the morning. So these long delayed frustrations are always self-inflicted. They're never somebody else's fault. So remember that. When you have one of these long delayed things, there's only one person to blame. Point the finger back at yourself, because it was you. You did it. Own it. Be accountable for it. Learn to take care of it and do it better. Which is why I put out the call. If you know somebody who's good at having these conversations, get a hold of me, because I need to learn this and work on this skill. I want somebody who's really good at it. So, and coming down kind of towards the end of this men's communication, at the end of the day, we're all human. We all make mistakes every single day. It's part of life, which means we all have to apologize. None of us like to do it. Guess what? You have to do it. Sucks, but we do. But going around saying I'm sorry all the time sounds weak. Don't be weak. In your personal relationships, when it's genuine, your intimate relationships, it's okay to use this. After all, if you're a smart man and you've chosen a valuable person to invite into your life, it shouldn't be used against you. So that is from a man, the I'm sorry thing should be very, very closely guarded and used, and only in very, very deep personal situations, because That's the time to be vulnerable. That's the time to allow that to come out. The rest of the time, it's not. Accept accountability. You're correct. Let me take care of that and get back to you by XYZ. That is an apology. You're correct. When somebody, you did this wrong, you're correct. Let me take care of that and get back to you, or let me fix that. Whatever the case may be. So, and when it's something big and bad and it's with somebody that you're not in an intimate relationship with, say, I apologize. My actions were inappropriate. That's dignified. There's some respect in that. I apologize. My actions were inappropriate. You've accepted accountability. You said your actions were inappropriate. You've done that. You don't look weak. Think about that. Does that statement sound weak to you? I apologize. My actions were inappropriate. There's no weakness in that statement at all. You're correct. Let me take care of that and get back to you. There's no weakness in that. That's strength, in my opinion. Anyhow, it kind of rounds down to about what I had for notes. So, if anybody's got anything they want to share or add or whatever, did I not share that properly? Nobody calling in tonight? Do that. Sorry, the old guy's got to put the glasses on because he's blind. I can't read the small print. Yeah, Jimmy had that one earlier. Yes, I agree. The best way to handle and conduct life is to listen. That's true. If you don't listen to the other side, how can you expect them to listen to you? Communication is not giving orders. That's giving orders. Communication is listen, share, give and take. So you have to be able to listen to the other side. Definitely. So, Ronnie, to handle difficult conversations, one needs to be blunt and be honest to themselves and have to be okay with the fact that the conversation could put a crack in one's relationship with the person. Yep. That's true. That's a good way to put it. Well put. So, anyhow, so there's what I got. Like I say, nobody seems to want to call in and discuss this. So either I got it right, which I know I've made mistakes in here. I'm sure there's things I've left out, as in most, but had some pretty good notes on this one. So I appreciate to my friends who are out there help me. I know you guys know who you are. I really appreciate that very much. So at the end of the day, be better in your communication. Hopefully something in here helps you. If it does, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe. Probably most of you are. Share with a friend. Trying to build this thing, get it out there. So, share this around to some people. Throw it on in the background and watch with it muted or something so that it gets some watch time up or something. I don't know. Trying to get this thing going. Anyhow, that's what I have for tonight. So if nobody's got anything to hop in and join, I'm signing off here shortly. So my links are in the chat there. Buy me a coffee. Hit me up on Patreon, join the channel membership or something like that, whatever. Appreciate the help. So anyhow, I'd mentioned earlier that I was going to start doing some stuff, to start branching out with some other stuff with the channel. So probably on Saturday morning, I'm going to, I'm thinking it's going to be Saturday morning or Sunday morning. I haven't figured it out yet. But if you're subscribed and have notifications turned on, it'll let you know. I'm going to come on live. Going to do some work on the bike. I've got to take, I got to start getting, taking the fuel tank off, fairings and stuff like that to get everything ready so I can pull the motor out in case I end up going that far. So I don't damage stuff while I'm actually working on it. So if you want to tune in live for that, see if you have no mechanical abilities and this is a life skill you want to build, you want to have a chance to possibly ask some questions, tune in live. And if anybody's got a question, just pop on and ask it. And, I'll try and answer it, show you what I'm doing. It's not going to be a fully edited down thing because that's kind of part of it I found with a lot of the learning stuff is they go through showing how to do it. And then if they get to a step that to them seems like nothing and they blow past it, you don't have a chance to ask a question. You don't know what's going on. So that's why I'm going to do it live. Might be boring for a lot. Might be good for some. Maybe you learn something in it. Just going to give it a try anyway. So like I say, I'll probably do that either Saturday or Sunday, depending what happens. So we're actually supposed to warm up here. So I might go outside. Imagine that. Won't be 25 below. So anyhow, watch for that. other than that, have yourselves a great night. I think don't see anything more here, so we're all done. Nobody's joining in. Have yourselves a fantastic night. And I'm going to start the after call here show here shortly. So just give me a minute to go to the bathroom and let the dog out and obviously refill her bowl. She was dragging it around earlier. So have a good night. Talk to you later, people. Bye-bye.